We got a lot of NFL playoffs to talk about. Which teams do Deb Whitcas and Ryan Walker think will get out of the AFC and NFC wildcards and make a Super Bowl prediction? And which one isn't too confident about her favorite teams getting out of the NFC and win the Super Bowl? And yeah, LA Wildfire have an impact in the NFL among everything else in the world. Plus, you got some high school and college basketball to talk about. And Satu Sabali leaving the Dallas Wings for what? This is nothing but that sports talk. I'm Rafik Lewis on. Let's get into it.
I'm here with the queen herself.
I'm here with Rafik, the king himself.
I'm here with the phenomenal Rafik. I'm so happy to be here.
You know, your New York fans cringe.
Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafik Lewis on, and this is nothing but that sports talk. Oh yeah, welcome back to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafik Lewis on, Deb Whitcas on hand. How you doing today in the PHI, which stands for Philadelphia?
I'm good. A little cold here, that's for sure. But yeah, doing better in Philly. My place is okay in LA right now. So very thankful. But unfortunately, some of my friends weren't as lucky. But just sending prayers and helping with donations and everything I can possibly do to help everyone out in LA right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I've read a lot of stories about the LA wildfire that's been going on, and if it has a very huge impact in the sports world as we know it. I mean,
yes.
To tip off the show, I mean, what can you say as far as the impact of the LA wildfire going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, as far as sports is concerned, we all got a press release yesterday saying that the Vikings game might be moved to Arizona. Obviously, the NFL is monitoring the LA wildfires. The update today is that they're still hoping to have it at SoFi, and we'll see. I mean, SoFi, the one good thing is SoFi is a domed stadium, so it's not like it's outside. The smoke is pretty bad everywhere in LA. There's ash everywhere. Like I said, personally, my house is 20 miles away from any of the fires. I'm about 6 or 7 miles from SoFi. So I just know in my area there's a lot of ash and a ton of smoke. You have to wear a mask walking outside if you're going outside in LA right now anywhere. So yeah, that would be a lot. But like I said, SoFi's a dome, so you're inside. So let's hope it stays in LA, just because I think LA needs some positivity right now, and an NFL playoff game would give that some positivity. But we'll see. There's still a possibility that it might be switched to Arizona.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, the fact that the wildfire is happening right now. I mean, luckily, not too lucky, but obviously, the Chargers, they're going to be Houston playing against the Texans, while the Rams are going to be. It would have been hosting the Vikings, but like you said, with the move to Arizona, LA is going to pull up and literally foul up the entire stadium.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, people are obviously extremely upset. I know pretty much everyone has known someone that has lost everything.
It made sense because, come on now, you're playing at your division rival stadium, courtesy of a wildfire. So, of course, it's going to be frustrating a little bit.
Yeah. But no, well, let's hope it stays at SoFi. LA needs it right now. But yeah, so we will see.
Yeah, fortunately for you, the team you cover and the team you go hard for, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're in the postseason, but we'll get more to that in a minute. Why don't you talk about what you've been up to ever since the last time we spoke? Because obviously you're still doing your thing with the current show Blond Blitz, hosted by yourself. How different is it compared to when you were hosting it last year?
Yeah, it's a completely Blond Blitz is a completely different show than what we did last year. As we know, I'm the main host right now. I'm the only host right now. But I bring on a bunch of friends, and there's different segments. We have a comedy segment, so that's an NFL, comedy segment that's super fun. My friend Todd Durham does it. Shay Holland is on the show. She is a HGTV designer to the athletes. She comes on every week and talks about different design things within football. She's had a few guests herself because she's obviously works with different athletes. So she talks about, design and renovating and athletes' houses she's worked on. Also have a sports betting segment with Alex White. She's in Vegas, also a good friend. So she comes on and gives her best bet for each week. She just gave a great one for this week for the playoffs. She's going Eagles. She's going Chargers. I'm going both of those too. So we agreed. Also had some fantasy football while it was going on. Commissioner Cooper headed up that segment. And then I have, former NFL players on, anyone in sports media, on a lot. We do hot takes for each week's games, as well as we do game picks. And Ben Troop, he's a former tight end for the Buccaneers and the Titans. He comes on with me and we do game picks every week. So we just did our game picks for, obviously it's wild card weekend this weekend for NFL, and he gave me his picks for that. I talked about it too. And also Dave DeRocher was our special guest this week. He gave his hot takes for last week and also his game picks for this week. He used to be a lineman for the Seattle Seahawks, also a good friend. So yeah, this year's Blond Blitz is a blitz of all NFL coming at you. And it's been a blast doing it. Looking forward to another season, kind of wrapping up this one. And I will be at Super Bowl. So I'm excited to bring all that coverage too. So yeah, excited. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I could only imagine. It seems like you have some pretty interesting guests. And I'm sorry I've been kind of off the loop because I've had my own stuff going on. I mean,
yeah, no, we all are. Yeah.
As you witness on my social medias, I've been covering some college basketball for the men's and women's side. But now we get to some NFL talk, as the Philadelphia Eagles had a very impressive first season with Saquon Barkley at the helm. Yeah. He sat down. We had a chance to get the all-time rushing record, but you didn't get a chance to do it to my Giants because even though we weren't that good this year, we were tanking. But yeah, it's a rare time where I was happy that you beat up the New York Giants because Philadelphia was having a phenomenal year, and they're gonna. Yeah. What do you think about the Philadelphia Eagles this season?
I think they're hopefully going to the Super Bowl. I think they definitely will win this next wildcard game against Green Bay. We'll see from there. I am a little worried about the Lions. I have to be honest. I think the Eagles. What was that?
Why wouldn't you be?
Why wouldn't I be?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, because they're amazing. They're a really balanced team, both on offense and defense. And the way they basically destroyed the Vikings. Also, they, both teams going into had the same record. I believe 14-2.
They were battling out for the top seed in the NFL.
Absolutely. Yeah. And going into it, I wasn't sure, to be honest. And just seeing how the Lions dominated that game got me a little scared. I have to admit, but also too, the Eagles are great. I just heard yesterday that the Eagles dropped their fourth quarterback, their emergency quarterback. So I'm praying that means that Hurts will be back. Super great. Kenny Pickett did a great job. So did Tanner McKee. Love them both. Both did a great job. But Hurts is obviously our franchise quarterback, and our first string plays the best with him. So if we want to have the full team and the full power that this team can be, obviously we need Hurts back.
Yeah, you guys definitely Hurts back, especially when going up against the Green Bay Packers. And if you recall, a year ago when the Packers were the 7th seed in the NFC, they did steamroll the Dallas Cowboys when they were the division winners. So if I were you, I wouldn't be too confident about facing the Green Bay Packers led by Jordan Love. Ain't no love in NFC. Just saying.
You know what? I love Jordan Love. Love me some Love. I say it literally all the time. But yeah, according to USA Today, and I thought this stat was low, but the Eagles have a 51.2 chance to beat the Packers. I definitely think they're going to beat them. I don't think the Packers are going to go into the night, lightly. You know what I mean? They're going to fight for it. And I think the Eagles are going to prevail, but you're right. I mean, Green Bay is going to put up a fight. But the thing is too, like Green Bay opened the season with 34-29 loss to the Eagles in Brazil. The Eagles weren't quite clicking then. Also, it was also the first game of the season. No one was really clicking, right? But now that the Eagles are clicking, I feel like Green Bay really doesn't have a chance. It'll be a good game, though.
Yeah, it might be a good game. But then again, well, like I said, I wouldn't sleep on the Packers because Jordan Love is going to be in his zone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Eagles are favored by 5. So
you can't stop if your defense can't stop the type of receiver core that the Green Bay Packers had that Jordan Love can throw the ball to. Then how you expect to fare even in later in the playoffs, assuming that you get out this game that you're going to actually hold your own against the Detroit Lions at some point later in the postseason.
Yeah. I mean, our defense is legit. I love what Vic Fangio has done this season. Obviously Eagles are one of the top defenses in the league. I mean, I think we can beat Green Bay, but like I said, the Lions, I'm worried about. Their defense is legit too, but their offense and their defense is both legit. So that's going to be the tough game. But
yeah, the Lions. I mean, Detroit Lions, man. I gotta give credit where credit's due. This franchise improved a lot. They really improved a lot for the bad seasons or seasons where they weren't so good. There's a lot of growth. Golf really changed the whole dynamic of the Detroit Lions winning culture, big time.
Yes. Yep. Well, and it's interesting you say golf because, being in LA, he was with the Rams for years. And when literally Stafford and Goff changed places, I was kind of like, okay, this doesn't really make any sense, right? And then Stafford won a Super Bowl. So it was like, okay, Stafford's great. And then I'm really, really, really glad to see Goff, doing what he does best and his success in the last 2 seasons. He definitely brought the Lions up. And I think it's great that both of them are now succeeding.
Yeah, it's great as well. I mean, this could make for a very impressive NFC Championship game if that were to go in fruition. But first, let's just make our picks of who we think is going to actually get out of the first round, starting with the NFC side. Obviously, you're going to pick, but we're going to let it go anyway. Eagles versus Packers.
I'm definitely going Eagles.
Okay, Buccaneers versus Commanders. Shout out to Jim Daniels. He really changed the whole dynamic of the Washington Commanders.
I know. I'm so excited for the Commanders, to be honest. They're my number 2 team. I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan. I think he will get Rookie of the Year. One of my favorite wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. There's a reason why they gave him that nickname. I'm gonna go. Basically, like USA Today is also reporting that the Buccaneers have a 58.3 chance to beat the Commanders. I don't agree with it. I don't know. The Bucs beat the Commanders in week 1, 37-20, but a lot has changed since then. I do like the Bucs. I love Baker Mayfield. The Bucs are favored by 3 points, but I'm going Commanders.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I do like that you get the Jay Dales, man.
Yeah, I'm going with the upside here. It's good to see Commanders finally have a quarterback too.
Look what happened. This is what happens when you stay locked in on the rebuilding process. You get that elusive quarterback that's going to eventually turn the whole dynamic of an NFL team around. And look what happened in postseason. Go to against the Buccaneers. Now, can they win a playoff game? That's what we need to think about.
I think so. I think they have it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Buccaneers, I can't sleep on them with the type of offense they have. I mean,
yeah, you can't, but I feel like they barely got the NFC South over Atlanta.
To be fair, the NFC South was trash.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm still upset about Atlanta, to be honest. Like, they have so much talent in that team and should have went so much further than they did. But the Bucs were 10-7, and they went 5-4 at home. So I don't know. I wouldn't sleep on the Bucks either. I just think the Commanders are a better team. I think Jaden Daniels has more weapons around him, and I just think they're more balanced. I think they should. I don't see why the Bucks are favored by 3 points. I think it should be the Commanders favored by 3 points. But
Yeah, but if you want an idea about that, you might want to look at Baker Mayfield's numbers and the same Baker Mayfield that when he was with Cleveland. He has like 45,000 yards and over 41 touchdowns.
Oh, he's a good quarterback, and I love him with Tampa.
So this man has proven that he can carry an offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but let's just see how it lasts. We go up against an up-and-coming phenom in Jaden Daniels. A year ago, Jordan Love managed to pull off an upset in the NFL playoffs. Will we see the same thing? And you just said they will. So
I think so.
We'll just leave it at that. Now on to the next matchup, the Rams and the Vikings. We just talked about how that game might not be played at SoFi because of the LA wildfire. But regardless of what field they play in, Rams with Matthew Stafford going up against Sam Darnold, who's really got the Minnesota Vikings back to where they were 2 years ago when they lost to the New York Giants. It's the same Darnold that was almost non-existent when he was with the New York Jets. Now, let's see what happens. This 4-5 matchup could go either way.
I agree with you. This is going to be a really good game. I'm a little concerned that Sam Darnold just looked off on Sunday, right, against the Lions. Granted, it was against the Lions. He was throwing high. His accuracy was off, but I do think he'll get it together and beat the Rams. We were kind of seeing flashes of Sam Darnold, with the Jets, with the Panthers, like how he played with them. I didn't really see this season, Sam Darnold, who I've loved to see him, blossom with the Vikings. It's amazing. It's great. He has Justin Jefferson around him. I think he just never had like the correct weapons around him when he was with the Jets and when he was with the Panthers. This game is not going to be easy. I mean, Stafford, Puka, Kupp. The Rams are so hot right now. I believe they just took the number 3 seed. Who would have thought that, Yeah, 4th seed. Okay. So the Vikings have only lost 3 games all season, and one of those was to the Rams in week 8. So I honestly think this game will come down to defense. Who's got the better defense? Who can hold them? Both teams have really good defenses. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be 1 or 2 points. It's going to be the thriller of the week. Vikings are favored by 2.5. I'm going to go Vikings.
Okay.
And I hate to say that because the Rams need it right now.
Okay, that's fair. So based on everything you just said, the Detroit Lions will face the lower seed coming out of the first round. And since the Commanders will be the lower seed, you picked them to beat. You say you picked them to play the Buccaneers. They will face the Detroit Lions, while the Vikings would face the Philadelphia Eagles. And
that's another one I'm worried about.
the type of rushing offense that the Philadelphia Eagles had, how would that match up in a possible playoff matchup against the Minnesota Vikings with the type of passing offense he had when Sam Darnold is throwing into Justin Jefferson?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm worried about the Vikings too. If Lions and Vikings are the top. Lions, Vikings, and Eagles are the top teams, in the NFC. I'm hoping it doesn't go that way. Let's just say that. I don't want them to have to play the Vikings or the Lions right now.
I mean, honestly, that's how it is. I mean, the Lions, they're the number 1 seed. They get a bye in the first round, and they will get the lowest seed. And you pick the Commanders to get out as the lower seed. They would. I mean, the Commanders would get the Lions, while the Vikings would get the Eagles. And I know you just say you're not confident, but what is your NFC matchup based on the 4 teams I just mentioned?
What do you mean?
Like who do you think is going to win in a possible?
Okay. So Eagles, Vikings. I think the Eagles will win over the Vikings, especially with what I just saw from Sam Darnold last Sunday. I think, especially with Hurts back. And then as far as the Lions and the Commanders, I think the Lions would beat the Commanders.
Not a shadow of a doubt. Now on to the possible NFC matchup that you just said you feared most. I mean, And if you're Eagles fan, you might want to show some confidence considering the Lions couldn't get out the NFC Championship game last year against the 49ers. And the Lions really blew that game. Do you think they can pull off something like that against Detroit Lions, even with it being at Ford Field in a 1-2 matchup?
No, I don't see the Lions blowing anything. To be honest, I just don't.
Confidence
right now. They have been fired this entire season. They're injured. That's my.
But to give you some hope, the 2 losses to the Detroit Lions did come at home.
Yeah. I mean, injuries play a big part. God, they look so good on the field. It's gonna be if the Lions do play the Eagles, it will be it's gonna be an absolute thriller. Like no bathroom breaks, no nothing. Like all eyes on the game, 24/7.
Yeah. Who you have winning though?
That's tough. I might have to go Lions, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Being as big of an Eagles fan as I am, I have a bad feeling. I want the Eagles to be in another Super Bowl. I want to be standing there interviewing all of the Eagles. I pray it happens. Praying it happens. Like my heart bleeds green if it happens.
Especially with it
Lions look good.
I believe the Super Bowl is in the Superdome this year, and it's the first time the Super Bowl was held there ever since the Baltimore Ravens barely defeated the San Francisco 49ers when they had that late surge when the Lions went out down there in New Orleans. But it's going to be very different. It's going to be different.
Absolutely. Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. I can't wait. Super Bowl week is my favorite week. All the events leading up to the actual Super Bowl are so much fun, and I get to see all my friends.
Yeah. Now on to the AFC. Well, the Chiefs, even though they got beaten up in Denver, but it's all good because they weren't using their starters. So,
right. Yeah.
You can't harp on them for too much.
You can't. I still can't believe they got 0 though. Like, how does that? And Carson Wentz is he's not my favorite quarterback, but he's not that bad.
Denver that game. Let's be honest. And we didn't expect the Denver Broncos to be back in the playoffs, but I mean, obviously, they end up happening anyway.
Yeah, I love what Bo Nix has done this season and the Broncos. I'm impressed. They were, who would have thought at the beginning of the season that the Broncos would be, anything and be in the playoffs. So yeah, I'm excited for them.
Yeah, we gotta give credit's due. They did pretty well. Yep. Now on to your picks for the AFC wildcard matchups. The Bills versus the Denver Broncos. Do you think the Broncos proved that they can play good defense? You think that's going to last against the Buffalo Bills with the type of offense they have led by Josh Allen?
I do not. I think the Bills are a stronger team. Josh Allen, obviously in talks for MVP. And like I said, I love what the Broncos and Bo Nix have done, but they're going to be tough. It's going to be tough to, get by the Bills defense too. Right now, according to USA Today, the Bills have a 68.1% chance to beat the Broncos. I believe in that. Denver's just 4-5 on the road. So Bills are favored by 8.5. I'm going Bills.
Yeah, the New York and me is going with Bills too, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
And it's funny because I literally every single year I pick the Bills for Super Bowl to be the Super Bowl winners. I have for the last 5 years in a row, I think, and they always let me down. So I have trouble picking the Bills, but on this one I have to.
Well, they run into the Kansas City Chiefs, and when it's not the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Cincinnati Bengals was 1 year,
right?
Being the fact that you end up running into a rough patch. So, Ravens versus Steelers. We gotta talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers because they played a lot better ever since they added Russell Wilson as their quarterback.
Yep. So, which I was debating because I love Justin Fields. I was like, is Russell Wilson really better than Justin Fields? But he is. So, and he proved that. So
honestly, when you count the Super Bowl pedigree that Russell Wilson had from his days with the Seattle Seahawks, he has to be better. I mean, he's literally better than Justin Fields. Justin Fields in the early portion of his career. So he's probably not going to be started consistently up until Russell Wilson retires in his NFL career, as long as he's playing. But you're going up against the defense and Lamar Jackson, who's literally hungry after losing in the AFC title game to Kansas City. Honestly, I'm going to pick Baltimore to win this one. This is about time Lamar Jackson gets his shine on.
And I agree with you. The Ravens are favored by 9.5. They have a 72.2% chance to beat the Steelers. Will be the third time these teams meet this season. The Steelers took the first game 18-16, and then the Ravens won the second in week 16, 34-7. Steelers have lost 4 in a row now. I think we're going to make that 5 with the Ravens. I'm expecting a similar blowout to week 16. Especially with Lamar Jackson and MVP talks. I mean, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Now on to the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers, the one LA team that we know for sure won't have to play in LA, even considering it's a road game in Houston. I mean, yeah. Who do you think's picking this one, and what's your outlook for it?
I'm excited. I'm so excited for the Chargers. As we know, I covered them last season. So for the LA Football Network. So the fact that, they got rid of Staley last season and brought in Jim Harbaugh this season, I was excited to see what he could do. And he's proved that we all know he was a good coach before he came, but he proved that, he's a great coach. The Chargers are in the playoffs. So according to USA Today, again, the Chargers have a 52.8% chance to beat the Texans. As you know, I've talked about it a million times. I love CJ Stroud. I first saw him at the Combine. I was impressed there.
Stroud is a problem. He changed everything. He changed what Houston Texans were years ago when they were bad. Right now, I mean, the guy has shown that he can throw the football and get into open receivers. But does that? I mean, and he showed that he could win a playoff game. But can that hold up against Justin Herbert and Los Angeles Chargers?
Absolutely. That's the question. And I don't think they will. Love some CJ Stroud, but Herbert, Harbaugh, and McConkey, I have a heart for right now. So the Chargers have won 3 in a row. I don't see them stopping. The Chargers defense is on fire right now. They've had the fewest points allowed in the NFL at 17.1 points per game. Texans have given a lot of points up on the field. The Chargers are favored by 3 points. I'm going bold up.
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, you covered them at 1 point, so yeah, you might as well root for them. And since the Chargers are the lowest seed, would have been the lowest seed based upon your picks, they will go up against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC divisional round, while the Baltimore will face the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it would be Chargers, Kansas City.
Yeah,
that would be tough. You know what though? I feel like the Chargers can do it. I mean, I feel like they could have that upset.
Yeah, the defense to stop Kansas City, but Kansas City, they hungry for that 3-peat that you could have probably stopped Philly, but yeah.
Right? They tried. Yeah, I mean, you just never can count out Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid. That's my issue with that one. But Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, has not looked as strong as he has looked in the past. He didn't make the Pro Bowl this year. He was snubbed out on that one. So that I find that interesting as well. I don't know if that's going to make him more hungry or what's going to happen here. But I mean, you just can't you can't second guess Kansas City. They always come back for the win. But I think it would be amazing if the Chargers beat them.
You just can't. They won 2 road games to get to the Super Bowl last year.
I know.
To be fair, they own the Buffalo Bills in the postseason, but we'll get more sad in a minute. But yeah, they won 2 road games, and they came.
I know. But I just don't think they look as good as they've looked. But
they were undefeated until they ran to Buffalo. So
I know. That's true.
Don't think like that. Don't think like that.
They kind of barely they kind of snuck by though. They barely they can. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Paired up with Travis Kelce, and shout out to Travis Kelce because man, him and Taylor Swift are really hitting it off.
Yeah, they are.
Best
Love them together.
Sports couple, one of the best sports couples you'll see.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love them together. And I loved how Travis, his new show, Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity, super high ratings. He was great on the show. I saw it myself. I was in the audience. And he's great. The camera loves him. He loves the camera, and it shows.
Yeah. Okay. Now we got that out the way. Chiefs versus Chargers. You're picking the Chiefs to win that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Baltimore, Buffalo. I'm gonna go with I'm going with Buffalo. I'm gonna go Buffalo. I don't know about you, but do you think Buffalo can get past Baltimore? Because both proven that they have the offense at BKC. They just can't get it done.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. You know what? I'm gonna go Bills too. On this one, I'm gonna go Buffalo. The Ravens look great, but I think Josh Allen's gonna win MVP. Unless Saquon Barkley. I'm voting for Saquon Barkley, obviously, but I think Josh Allen's going to take it. But I would go Bills against the Ravens.
Okay, that's fair. AFC Championship game. I believe it's like the third time fourth time overall in the past 5 years, but third time overall that it's in the AFC Championship game. I believe somewhere around those realms. You know, the rivalry with Buffalo and Kansas City will continue. The funny thing about it is Buffalo has defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season, but they can't add on to it when the playoffs come around. That just goes to show the regular season doesn't matter. Do you think that Buffalo can sweep Kansas City this time the same way they defeat them in the regular season this time and get to that Super Bowl, which they haven't been to since they barely lost in late second field goal to New York Giants in missed field goal to New York Giants in 1990?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. No, it's going to be an interesting playoff weekend. I'm excited for wildcard weekend. I'm excited for the divisionals, for the champion. You know, we'll see who takes it.
Yeah. Do you got Kansas City or Buffalo?
I'm going to go Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure agree with you. So the Super Bowl matchup will be Buffalo versus the Lions. So
I mean, I personally want it to be Ravens Eagles. I don't think it will be, but that's what I want.
Okay, but yeah, based on your pick, I mean, you got the Detroit Lions coming out the NFC.
I think it'll be Lions Bills. Like I'm gonna do two brackets. I'm doing Lions Bills and then Eagles Ravens for all my bets.
Okay, that's fine. But it's a Super Bowl matchup in this particular bracket for this particular show goes down between Buffalo and Detroit. The Lions' loss to Buffalo is one of the 2 home losses this season. Do you think Buffalo could add on to it and take out the Lions in the Super Bowl atmosphere? Or will Detroit finally put it in profit?
I don't know. That's tough. That's a tough one. I mean, obviously we're talking Super Bowl. You know what? Oh God. Of course, this is going to be the one year I don't go the Bills and then they're going to win, right? I think I have to go Lions. I think Lions have been there all season and been on fire all season, and I think they're going to take it.
Yeah, the Lions are due for a championship. I mean, it's been a while since the Detroit sports team has won anything. It's been
it's the first time they've gotten a first seed NFC ever in franchise history. So this year, finally.
We are here again, only this time with Ryan Walker. I mean, yeah, in the last clip of Deb Whitcas, I already went through the NFL picks, but listen, we're going to get your take on it. First of all, welcome to the show again.
Indeed, good to be here. You know how it is.
Yes, you know how it is. I mean, college football playoffs is going on with Notre Dame squeaking out a win against Penn State and getting back to its first college football championship game since 2013 when they got railroaded by Alabama. That's pretty interesting. And of course, you got the undefeated LSU women's basketball team after they barely squeaked out a win against Tennessee. And then, of course, Duke being Duke, number 4 in the country. Cooper Flag did that crazy posterized dunk against Pittsburgh earlier this week. But yeah, that's pretty much the big news going down.
Indeed, a lot of stuff going on in the college front right now. So It's always a good time of the year. Beginning of the year, a lot of good stuff going on. College football, NFL, so on and so forth. NBA getting into the middle part of the year. Hockey, everything, so on and so forth. So, yep, this is the time. High school basketball, everything.
Yeah. And you know what? While we're on the subject of high school basketball, I had a chance to go get a good look at Nazareth High School Kingsman team as they railroaded Canarsie 78-63. And this guy Halon, man, all 1,000 points as he was honored at that game. And Coach Gervin, if you see my interview posted on Instagram earlier, he talked about like staying focused on the games right in front of you and making sure you continue to build off it.
Yeah, Nazareth is doing a great thing down there. Gary Ervin has been a breath of fresh air for them from the minute he stepped in the doors. From his playing experience, his coaching experience through all realms, whether it be at the NY Classic through Gersh or AAU, and he's done a very good job down there with Nazareth. He's had Halon, luckily, for the last 2 years. We've watched his growth. I believe Halon is going to Wake Forest or Georgia Tech. I forgot what school he's going to. He's going to a big school. But he's a good player. One of the, definitely the top guys you got to look at in the city and in the state, but in the city, definitely for Catholic, for Brooklyn. And then, I mean, honestly, if you're not talking Jada Swan, who's probably the best player in the city, a phenomenal player from Thomas Jefferson, and then we just watched Connor score 71 points and damn near 50, 60 points right afterwards. I mean, Halon is probably, if not the best player in the city, or definitely for Brooklyn, for the boroughs, then, second best hit. He's, senior, big time player, can score it, confident, great under the program, knows what he does. I like their point guard too, a young point guard, AJ. I was fortunate enough to get an early look at him since, through No Sleep to Brooklyn. Shout out to my man, Coach Blue, with his down there on the South Shore staff. But his No Sleep to Brooklyn tournament gave me an opportunity these last 2 years to get more close to the sector of Brooklyn with the high school thing. And I'm always in tune with it anyway. I know what's going on with the guys, but like that direct plug to get a lot of the players and learn about them early and to be able to announce for the tournament where I get to see all these different kids and everybody bring them through was pretty dope. So, but I got to see AJ very early. I liked his game. I told him he was up next and still continue that. He played very well the other day. You probably see him, light-skinned point guard with like twisting his hair.
Mm-hmm.
Very young kid for them, so he can play, can do as well too. Nazareth is going to be fine once Ervin is there. As long as they keep and got Ervin there, he'll always have a good prop. They'll be well coached, and they'll have an opportunity to win. And definitely one of the teams in the Catholic League where you need to pay attention to. They can win the whole thing. I think they had a tough loss though after that Canarsie one. I think somebody did beat them. But
nah, actually, after they beat Canarsie, they went down to St. Peter's High School and defeated them as well.
Okay, it might have been something maybe before that or something. But I think they took a loss to somebody. But it doesn't matter. They're a good team, and they're well ready to try to win the whole Catholic League. And Canarsie is a very good team. I told you that I expressed that how I know that they have Devin Clark and PJ Singleton and Xavier. They have some really good players. So to beat Canarsie like that is convincing, and it just shows you how good of a team Nazareth is.
And it shows the discrepancy between a PSAL team and a Catholic school team. I mean, this is one of the rare opportunities where Canarsie and Nazareth gets to duke it out. And Coach Gus said in the message that he had mixed feelings. He thought I had mixed feelings about it because as much as I'm happy for Nazareth and Coach Gervin, you kind of did it to my Canarsie alumni. But it's fine because we understand that they were coming off a long road trip where they breezed through the team's high school down there in Arizona. They got to get the exposure down at Arizona University. And they need that exposure. Canarsie needs more exposure like that.
But I don't I beg to differ with you that I don't want you maybe in the past, there's times like that in the past, whatever. But the analysis to say the difference between the Catholic League and the public school league to just not just a credit, but to a credit being in the Catholic League and winning against a public school team, it's not that much of a disparity to me. You know what I'm saying? Canarsie is a good team. Yeah, it was a 15-point deficit, but it's not because Nazareth's in the Catholic League, and it's not that they're playing better competition per se to say that that's why they won. You know what I'm saying? Like they used to try to do that a lot in the past. Nazareth's best player is a senior who's battle tested and been through a lot of grinds and won on many different type of levels. They have young, good freshmen. They have a very good coaching staff. Canarsie is a program that is a good program, but has been pretty okay or down the last few years, excluding now when they've come back into the mix of doing things. So the public school league, especially for Brooklyn, has really good teams. So I'm not like, no disrespect, they wouldn't have beat Thomas Jefferson by 15. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they beat South Shore by 15 this year, but in the past they would. I can't accredit the fact that they're in the Catholic League to say that's why the disparity in the Catholic League, because there's some public school teams. There are some, not a lot, that public school teams that will give Catholic teams definitely a big run for money or beat them. And not every Catholic League school team is doing great. Like Christ the King has good kids there, but they're not as powerhouse as they used to be. You understand what I'm saying? Like they can be beat. You know, and I know kids down there. I know the point guard Judah. That's my young pup. Jaden Ramirez, another kid that's a good kid from, I believe, from Strong Island or Queens area that plays for Christ the King. So they got good players. The Markel. It's just that the Catholic League public school has no credit to do with Nazareth beating Canarsie by 15. Nazareth's just a better team, and they're just a little bit. That's not disrespect to the Canarsie coaching staff. I mean, but you know, we see the coaching staff for Nazareth; they're pretty battle tested. Plus, with the success that Ervin has had over the years, he's going to get players that's going to want to come there. You know what I'm saying, to that Catholic school. So here goes a Fitbit to tell you, and I don't remember the exact reason why it changed. Jada was at Nazareth. Jada left South Shore, and when he left South Shore, he was at Nazareth first. He was there for a few weeks. He was going to play with Nazareth. I don't know what the situation or why it didn't work out there, but it just didn't happen. Nothing bad per se about anybody. And that's how he ended up at Thomas Jefferson afterwards. See, Thomas Jefferson actually wanted him as well first, but South Shore had it, and Jada was a good kid, and I guess he felt he had some loyalty to South Shore. But then he made a decision, him and his family, and it was better for him to go somewhere else. And he went to Nazareth, which was right down the road from South Shore, and the situation didn't work out. And then that's how he ended up at Thomas J, which was they were seeking him as well, but he chose Nazareth first. So I mean, just imagine if they would have had Jada Swan on top of what's going on now. They probably would have been the best team in New York City, Catholic wise, or even public school wise. So you know, it's just about opponents, because I've seen public school teams be Catholic and vice versa. I was at the Gary Charles Classic this weekend, where there's some public schools that play Catholic schools and so on and so forth, and public schools one and maybe Catholic school ones. Bayshore, that's our regular high school, played Cardozo. Cardozo's a public school, but I don't know if that's considered Catholic per se, but they're a public school. And, you know, Bayshore beat them. You know, there was other matchups where it was, who did Chaminade play? Chaminade played somebody the first day, but they had one win and one loss. But it's just to say that it's about the team and the opponent, not necessarily Catholic or public school.
Got an interesting point. And to add on to your entry, and to add on to what you were saying, you were right about one thing. Nazareth did lose against St. Francis Pep 76-67.
I thought it wasn't crazy. I know. My kid Barry Anthony had 40 points on him.
Listen, you locked in on that. Listen, as much as you and Aaron been locked in on Nazareth, you remember the times they lose.
See, the reason why I remember that they lost right after that with the big win from Canarsie is because the kid Barry Anthony, I love him so much. He's a good kid. He's going to St. Francis now, and I got a lot of connections towards St. Francis. My commissioner Rev at Crunch Time, his nephew Todd Rochelle went to St. Francis Prep, but just following that over the last 3 years, St. Francis has a lot of kids from Queens that play there too that you follow as well. And I just remember the post, and I seen the game where everybody was so happy because Very had 40 that game, 40 against Nazareth, who's a good team. So St. Francis Prep gave them a big time run for their money, and that's what I'm saying, that the Catholic League is going to be very interesting to see. You have the St. Francis, you have Nazareth. And Christ the King will still be a fighter in the punch. Holy Cross is there. You know what I'm saying? There are a couple teams from New York City that it's gonna get very interesting as they get down to the nitty gritty. But yeah, St. Francis Prep, big Queens. You see Barry Anthony, shout out to him, man. 40 points against Nazareth and a win at home. That's big time.
Yeah. Even though Nazareth did lose that game, it's about time we get a little deeper dive into like the type of offense that Halon Dawkins is kind of
Rawlins.
And Halon Rawlins. Yeah, I've had a chance to speak with him after the blowout win against Canarsie earlier this week, along with a certain teammate of his. So I'm gonna just let you listen to this clip so you can get an idea and we can debate on that.
Yeah, congratulations on the win as Nazareth kind of came into Canarsie today, and I'm here with two of the top players of this game, and considering someone that had over 1,000 points. Tell us your name and your position.
JoJo Jennings, point guard.
Halon Rawlins, everything.
Yeah, you guys get together and literally came into Canarsie like literally before the end of the first half. I mean, what has Coach Gervin spoke to you about as far as getting the offense going after the shaky start?
He just told us to play together, be tough, and just go for the win. That's it.
He told us that we got to be aggressive this whole game because it's a public school, and public school is always aggressive. So he just told us to be aggressive, and we won the game.
Yeah, as long as you've been like playing Nazareth basketball, like what is the overall feeling of building a winning culture at this school?
It feels good for the guys that left. It's a good feeling to win for the guys that left last year and just to build and get back where we was at last year.
I feel good because we also helped our team go double A, me and JoJo. So like now that everybody else gets to experience that way it feels like, it's a good feeling, and we just have a winning culture now.
Yeah, and speaking of winning culture, I mean, what do you think about Coach Gervin as like being the coach of this entire basketball program?
He's a great coach. He was a great player when he played back then. It's just a great experience, him coaching us and making us be great players at Nazareth.
Yeah, he's a great coach. He's hard on us in practice. He's hard on us in the game so we can get prepared for college.
Yeah, speaking of preparing for college, I mean, you guys get like 1,000 points. What is the overall feeling being able to put up that many points in your high school basketball career?
I feel great because that's not thing that everybody can accomplish. Only a few accomplish that, so it's a great feeling, and I'm humbly proud. I'm proud.
All right, one last thing. Why do you think that people should come out to get more invested in Nazareth high school basketball?
It's a great school, great coaching, great everything. It's a great school in general. So.
It's a great school, great teachers, great principal, great everything. We got a great team. We got great sports, everything though.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Where he go? Halon.
It's a great school, great teachers, great principal, great everything. We got a great team. We got great sports, everything though.
All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, now that we listened to the clip from the players I managed to speak with after the win against Canarsie and adding on to the later games that they played, obviously they won against St. Peter's, but they took an L against St. Francis Prep, as you mentioned. I mean, how does that add on to what you said before the interview?
When you say add on, what do you mean?
How is that add on to everything you talked about as far as the Nazareth players building the winning culture and Coach Gervin literally softening these kids up and letting people know why Nazareth is a school to be for upcoming students that hasn't been there yet.
Oh yeah, well, you have to say once Gary Ervin got there, you knew it was going to be a process, and it's so crazy because like once he got there, it wasn't like they were like super great off top. They weren't bad. I think they were like average to mediocre the first year. They had the ups and downs, but it takes time. You got to get the right kids in, the players, people got to buy in, feed in. It takes time. And once piece by piece that they started doing that and putting themselves in position, and they had some good kids in the past, and it helped that Halon is a big time player, and they kept working with him, and he's been a winner, and he does well in the AAU circuit. He's done well with Gersh for the NY Classic. He does well in every outside little tournament that he plays in. I've seen him win, with I believe Team Rundown at IS8. So he's always on in situations where you get used to a winning culture, and him being their best player and getting 1,000 points. Sometimes we might see in general, because there's a lot of kids, not a lot of kids, but there are a few kids that are getting to 1,000, like the kid Ethan Ostain from Lincoln just got to 1,000. I got my kid Jeremiah Webb at Wine Dance that's approaching 1,000. I think Barry might have got 1,000. There's a couple kids that are at that milestone. And sometimes we might see it and be like, oh yeah, it's not easy to score 1,000 points in high school. I'm saying you gotta be a prolific scorer or have a good 4-year career somehow, some way, whether to eclipse that plateau. So that's a huge accomplishment. And that's just what Gary Ervin and Nazareth and those guys are building, and that's why they'll have an opportunity to win again when it gets to postseason. But the Catholic League will be very interesting this year in the playoffs because there are a lot of really good sleeper teams, and it just can go any way with that whole facade. So that's what they're building down there. He's building a good culture. As long as Ervin is down there, that's what they're gonna have for a long time. Hopefully he does it. I mean, I'm not saying hopefully. He's gonna keep doing so well that maybe one day he might get a coaching position in college. You know what I'm saying? With what's going on. Hopefully he just be able to be there for at least another 3 to 5, maybe 6 years to build that culture, maybe get an understudy and so on and so forth, so they can keep what's going on with Nazareth going on. Because Nazareth always had and always been known. I know guys that went to Nazareth back in the days. You know what I'm saying? So it always had a decent tradition and program. But now basketball-wise, I can definitely probably say this is the highest they've had over their whole time being in it, per se.
Mm-hmm. I can't argue with you there. And you know what? As you look at the upcoming schedule for Nazareth, they got of course today about it. They head to Severin to take on Severin, and then after that they come home to play Earl Monroe, and then of course they got a road game against South Shore on the 20th, and then they got games against Christ the Kings on the 24th. St. Precious Prep. They're gonna get that. They're gonna have an opportunity to avenge that, but we take it one game at a time. They have to deal with Earl Monroe next. Excuse me. They have to deal with Severin and Earl Monroe back to back. So, yeah, that's something that they got to be mindful of.
Yeah, they got Zavarian, Brooklyn squad. So that they should get that game, but Zavarian still is going to play tough. Zavarian's a lot of their good kids over the last 2-3 years have graduated or moved on. So they should get that, but it's Catholic League play, so you got to play. And after that could be interesting though, because like you said, they have Christ the King. I know Christ the King will fight. They have Jaden Ramirez, Judah. They have some kid Markel Ashton. So they have a good squad. St. Francis again, like you said, they'll get to avenge it. Now they'll be at home, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be very pumped up to try to get that victory back, because St. Francis was a good game, but St. Francis set the tone for with a matchup that could be an interesting matchup even going forward in the future. So they'll try to get that one back, but that'll be a tough game. CK will be a tough game. See, there's Catholic League games at the end where these games could be very, very, very interesting. So, all roads lead to the postseason. Playoffs is literally like in 2-3 weeks, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without question. And of course, you got the Martin Luther King's thing
And
going
Monroe,
on.
oh God, they got Monroe. Monroe is a public school team. That's with glasses and those guys from the Bronx.
Mhm.
Monroe is a tough, gritty, good program. Glasses coaches them very well. They have to be very careful in that game too. Monroe's very physical. They have some really good players. They have a tall 7-footer, I think, down there as well too. They're the left-handed forward guard who I like as well too. Um, that'd be a very interesting matchup. So they better get the Zavarian game because that coming back that Monroe game, that's gonna be a fight.
Luckily for them, I mean, you're only going to Brooklyn high schools at this point for the rest of the schedule, with the only exception, Christ the King, which is all the way in Queens. So we know that. We know that, but yeah, Catholic schools, they really something else. Okay, now I'll get to Canarsie, and you just talked about how Canarsie is more improved. I mean, they managed to pull out the last 2 wins, but we gotta talk about the win against Brooklyn Collegiate, because Tafari Kennedy really came through in the clutch with a game-winning 3 in overtime. He put up 17 points in that game, and obviously PJ Singleton sat out, but it's all right because Devin Clark, he only had 6 points, but he put up 12 rebounds. And Xavier Francis, you're right about him. 20 points and 21 rebounds. Are you kidding me?
He's the best player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no disrespect. PJ Singleton is really good too.
Yeah, I've seen him play. I mean, the guy, he's proven to have a jump shot, and he has some potential. He kind of gave me Vernell Blackman vibes watching him play that night, but that's besides the point. Yeah.
Now Xavier's a bad boy. He's tough. Don't be surprised if he's on the Gersh squad for the NYNY Classic. That's gonna be one of those next.
He's on the Gersh Park. You know we coming back.
You got to talk to the Bronx about that one, not me. But
So I'm talking to if they see this clip.
Good luck. But
to be fair though, at least we defeated them a year prior. But you know, Watson was hungry for that championship. That game was over. Well, Gersh Park really they weren't going down without a fight that night, but we already went over that.
And remember, Gersh will be back. They'll have Halon. They'll have Jada, Connor, Xavier. And then I'm pretty sure PJ Singleton might be on that team as well, too. Trying to think about all the Brooklyn schools. They might have one kid from South Shore on there. Mm-hmm. They'll have a core. They'll have a core. Watson will be ready as well too. I think everybody's going to come back very hungry. I think Team Dykeman hasn't liked the drought they've had and kind of the decline they've had. They brought some excitement last year to the tournament with Mel and some of the guys playing, but I never really thought they had a chance of winning it. It's been a while since that, so I think every team will be back a little bit better. Lincoln Park is disappointed in their performance. So I know Queens will be back better as well too, but it's still up to what Gersh and Watson what Watson first now with winning is setting the tone for what will happen with that tournament. But no, Xavier's a really good player, really another top good kid in Brooklyn.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, you only have 2 more schools. You only have 2 more teams in New University of York that has not won a New University of York title yet for the boys.
Right, West Fourth never won, right?
West Ford never won, and
Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park number 1,
and Tri-State.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
Right, it's only been Gersh, Dykeman, and Watson that has ever won it.
Yeah, but all that's gonna change. We'll see. All right, now continuing the basketball conversation, as obviously the Cleveland Cavaliers have been on a hot streak this past week. I mean, they ended the Thunder's 15-game winning streak, and then they had to come back to defeat an 8-30 Toronto Raptors. But the fact of the matter is, they won 11 years in a row, and the media is saying that they might win the NBA championship. Do you think they're going to win the NBA championship this time around? Especially we have to compete with Boston, New York, and Orlando, unfortunately.
Well, he said, unfortunately, Orlando's a good team, and Paolo Banchero ain't even there yet.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect. I don't want to come across. The Cavaliers have a really good team. We know Donovan Mitchell's a big-time player. Darius Garland is healthy and playing at the level that we know and expect to him. Jared Allen's healthy. We know what he brings to the table. Mobley's such a really good young player at the power forward position. They added shooting depth with their bench. Forgot that God, what's that, the white boy that came from a certain team, but he was a big time shooter. He's on their bench now. But it'll come to me in a second. They're well coached with Kenny Atkinson down there.
I think it's Max Strus.
Yes, Max Strus. Yes, he used to be on Miami. Yes. There you go. The shooter, Max. They're well coached. They have a very good team. They're healthy. They're young. They believe. And yes, they're definitely a title contender team. They're a very good team. I don't want to sound biased as a Knicks fan with our team. And, whatever happens with Mitchell Robinson, or if they add a shot blocking center or whatever they do, and the Knicks are starting to actually play better defensively. For the month of December, they were 4th in defensive rating. So now some of that stuff is starting to change, along with us getting some other guys. I'm just not afraid of the Cavaliers. I don't know if that's disrespectful. I think that if the Knicks are properly healthy and put together, even though in the first contest we played, the Cavaliers did win that game, but the Knicks actually had a lead in that game and let that one go. But that's a whole different story. They've done that a few times in the last couple of injuries. I'm not afraid of them. We've had success against them in the postseason, whether they were completely healthy or not. I believe it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago we took them on the first round in a first matchup. You can't just ignore that.
So
let's call it the way it is. The Cavaliers have been better ever since, and it's the first time they've been relevant without LeBron James since Brad Dortney days.
And then they got to prove it to me in the postseason. It's because they have a team and they're so young and healthy that they're going to dominate this regular season. They're going to do well. I was looking for a time for them to have a little downplay. They might not have that, to see if the Knicks could sneak back up there to them, maybe a number 1 seed. But it's going to be very difficult. But they just got to show it to me in the postseason. I don't want to. One thing doesn't necessarily have to do with the others. There's different teams per se. But I've also watched Donovan Mitchell, as a good player as he is, great, whatever we want to call him. I've watched him had a lot of success with Utah Jazz teams in the past, where they've had really good records in the West, and lose in the first or second round when he was there. So I just need to see that consistently in the postseason. I know for Vegas standards and for conversation standards and everything, we got to have that conversation and say, man, you know what? They could win it all, especially since they beat Oklahoma and this and that. We just got to see in the postseason. Here goes the real fact of the matter is that as good as my Knicks are, no matter what the success of the Cavaliers are, the East makes and breaks through Boston. Boston is the NBA champions. They're the defending Eastern Conference champions. So no matter what anybody we all want to do at the top 3, somehow, some way, you got to go through them. Somebody's going to have to dethrone them. So that is the big scenario with them in the postseason. And if nobody does that, then it doesn't matter to me. I still think the Celtics is who everybody should pay attention to, and those are the guys you're going to want to get out in the postseason, not necessarily the Cavaliers. But they're a good team. They're playing good ball, the best record. They beat the other top team, which is Oklahoma City. They've beaten pretty much everybody. They're playing good ball. Let's see how that works in April.
You've got an interesting point. I mean, this is the first time the Cavaliers have had number 1 seed this deep into the season in quite some time.
Yeah.
They won the championship in 2016.
Right.
It's been a while. But if this number 1 seed holds up, Cleveland will be one of the problems. They may not say it in the Vegas odds. I mean, the Cavaliers have I believe the 4th or 5th odds to win a championship. I mean, when you add Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets and the Knicks and the Boston Celtics, but I'm gonna hold off on it because after the All-Star break, as a friend always said, that's when you start seeing the type of teams they're going to be.
Like even Houston, no disrespect to them, Houston to me Houston is just because of their record. I mean, they're young and they're very good, but I don't think they're ready right now to be an NBA champion or even get to that level. I still think they'll have this postseason will be big for them. And who knows, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just looking at a team like Oklahoma City who's really good and really talented. And 2 years ago, they started changing the narrative. But last year, everybody got to know that they were some bad boys. And they went to the Western Conference Finals. They almost, came out of the Western Conference Finals, right? Did they go to the Western Conference?
No, they didn't. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks last year, the second round.
To Minnesota, because Minnesota lost to
They lost it. No, OKC lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the second round, and Minnesota defeated Denver. The Dallas defeated Minnesota, and then Dallas lost to the Celtics in the NBA Finals.
Right. So now look at Oklahoma. They're a really good team. They added
Isaiah Hartenstein.
Mr. Hartenstein. Oklahoma lost last year in the second round, and they were really damn good. They had the best record in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So Houston will go through that a little bit of a growing pain too. You know what I'm saying? They might have a success in the post. They might win a first round. But those are the things that are just projected based off record and how everything looks. As good as those teams are and everything, let me tell you right now, the guaranteed contenders in the NBA are the Celtics, the Cavs, the Knicks, whatever order you want to put for the East, the Oklahoma City Thunder, Dallas, I guess, will be back into it, but, they need to get their health together. And Houston is going to be considered only because of the record and the youth. But besides that, I think those five guys are really the guys we really have to worry about. Minnesota was supposed to be thought as that, but they're having a really decline year.
But that's only after the Carly Towns trade, and Julius Randle's just started to get readjusted to playing with Anthony Edwards. But yeah, the Minnesota they just on a decline. But you know what? If they get in after the playing tournament, I wouldn't sleep on them. I mean, come on now, they won the Western Conference Finals last year, so it's not like as if it's Cubs or anything.
Yeah, 100%. And some of the core is still there.
Mm-hmm. It's just Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo that needs to get adjusted to the type of offense production that the Minnesota Timberwolves had.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had a lose streak coming to an end, and they're about to face the New York Knicks. Do you think that the New York Knicks can beat the Thunder this time to bounce back from the way they crumbled in the game last week when the Knicks had a 9-game winning streak and Oklahoma City's winning streak at the time was 13, I believe?
Oh, yeah, we're going to get back tomorrow. Did Towns play in that game?
Yeah, Towns did play.
He did play that game. I think we'll get back at it at home. We had a nice lead in that game. We really should have won that game, but that's neither here nor there. That's the same thing that happened with the Knicks with a few contests. With like that Atlanta Hawks game, they were up. Let one go there. That Cavaliers game earlier in the year, they were up. So they've had a few games like that. But
Chicago Bulls and then the Orlando Magic with no Pablo Banchero.
Come on.
That gets some wisdom. But you know what? Alan Hahn said
that game Carl Towns didn't play, but still, they still have to beat Orlando without those guys.
Even though they did win the regular season series, but they should have just let them in the regular season series. And obviously, I'm glad you brought that up because that just goes to show, even with the star power you have in the starting five, here goes the thing, the Knicks lack depth.
No, I gotta stop you. I keep hearing that, but that's not true. The Knicks have depth. Now, the scenario is that Coach Tibbs just has to have a little bit more trust and faith to let them play a little bit more, which he does, but just a little bit more. Like get how Coach Tibbs is, and then guys got to perform. You know what I'm saying? Not saying they're not completely not, but like Cam Payne is very solid off the bench when he's going and he's grooving. He defends, he can shoot the three, he can drive and get guys involved. Deuce McBride, Remember, also coming back on the squad. Deuce McBride is a key player off the bench, can shoot it, drive, run a team. Shamet just came back, made his first shot the other day. I think Shamet will be key towards the bench. Precious Achiuwa has played amazing off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So when guys say depth, it's also about production. And you also have to remember how Thibodeau still plays his starters a lot of minutes. You know what I'm saying? So it's about the trust and the faith. When the depth is there on the Knicks, it's just consistent production.
That's
and,
it.
And,
Tom
and
Thibodeau is going to run his players to the ground.
Right. So, if I were the bench, I would be the bench guys. I would come and say, listen, when we get in the game, we got to make sure we go crazy to give him a reason to not pull us right away and make the bench play more. And like I said, it's also key about whatever's going on with this Mitchell Robinson situation. He's practicing whatever. I don't know. Whenever he's supposed to come back, hopefully that's mid-February at this point. I don't know with this guy, right?
Once he comes back, Carly Towns will get moved to the 4, and
right,
people get play in the 5. That's why, at least that's what I'm hearing everybody saying. But obviously, it's about an adjustment period.
Well, I think that's what they're gonna do slowly. They might, crawl him out first and let him, come off the bench like a few games. But then the aspiration is to throw him in the starting lineup. You throw him in the starting, like you said, he'll play the 5. Carl will play the 4, which is more padded to his position, which I think will double help defensively because now you have 2 7-footers and Carl can play off the ball more of the defense rather than Mitchell will be the pinpoint guy that come into an interior. You put OG at the 3, you put Bridges at the 2 and Brunson at the 1, and then what do you know? You know what I'm saying? You have a really good starting defensive compared to what's the starters now? Brunson.
I think it's Brunson. Well, I think it's
Bridges, OG,
Jericho Sims. I think.
No, Sims doesn't start. Carl's at the 5. Is Jericho Sims starting? Who the heck are we have starting?
Yeah.
It's Brunson.
Okay. Brunson. Josh Hart.
There it goes. Hart starts. Yes. Yeah. There it goes.
Josh Hart, but he's a proven rebounder. Even at the size that he is, he can get up and get rebounds like it's nothing. So it makes sense for him to be a starter until Mitch Robinson comes back.
Correct. So now see how everything changes. If Mitchell comes back and he's anything like before and playing well, even though I'm just so disgusted when he goes to the free throw line. Or if they trade for a center like a Kessler or a Valanciunas, I heard about, you know what I'm saying, who's not really a shot blocker, so I'm concerned about that. I don't think they really do that. But let's suppose they keep Mitchell, right? Mitchell plays the 5, which now shows up your defense and adds more rebounding and a finisher at the rim. You got Carl at the 4, so Carl can still play the position he has, stretch the floor, play the face up and post. Robinson can go just attack the boards and get the rebounds, which I think will be great for him. Have more space to operate. And then now you can put OG at the 3, which is a normal position. Put Bridges at the 2, his natural position where he'll kill more and already been doing good, and Brunson at the 1. And now you have Josh Hart coming off your bench, who's a great role player and a bench player and knows his role. So now you'll have that buzzsaw coming off the bench where he rebounds like a demon. He guards and defends. He gets steals. He can drive to the basket. He's great in transition, and he's very well capable of shooting the 3-point shot. That's adding to your bench with a Precious, with a McBride, with a Shamet, with a Payne. Then there's the depth. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then now the guys have to play. I had one of my
come together.
I had Mike Larry.
Shout out to Mike Larry for that commercial, by the way. It's been a while since we talked about him.
Good job. And he's always been very interesting on his criticism for the Knicks, right? Says he's a Knicks fan, so I got to take his word for it. But always interesting on the analysis of it. I think he had more issues with Randall and some other stuff, but blah, 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 whatever. So I seen the commercial thing that I thought was great. And then he got what? No, I seen a post he made, and he was being very critical of the Knicks, and he was like, I forgot what he mentioned to it, and I had to mention to him. I said, wow, you're a Knicks fan now, or whatever it is, whatever. Whatever with his
Park and Knicks have business partnerships, my guy.
Yeah. What does that mean? You could do business with somebody and not stop. You know what I'm saying? I know people that work for the Red Sox. I know people that work for the Red Sox that lived in New York and were Yankees fans. If you have a job and you get a job with somebody, that doesn't mean that you're on that train or boat. So I'm not saying that Mike Lowry is or isn't. I'm not going with that. But just because he did a commercial for them for the Knicks, which is amazing and great, doesn't mean that he's necessarily a Knicks fan. But like I said, he says he is, so I take the word for it. But that doesn't mean because, bro, if the friggin' if the Mets ask me to do a promo for them and they're gonna pay me, I'm gonna do it. So I don't care about whether I'm a Yankees fan or not. Dead presidents is the most important person. You know what I'm saying? So hence why you're gonna get your doctorate at St. John's. So
I only go hard drive to St. John's because I'm going to get to know people at that school.
Yeah, right. And you're going to get a doc. Stop. Right. It's just about networking. No, getting a doctorate is about putting something on your name title and also being in a position that something that in the future you can have economics or get capitalism off of it. Otherwise, why would you? You're going to get scholarships and grants you're going to be paid for, but you wouldn't be going to school wasting your money and your time if there wasn't something that you can profit off it in the future. At least that's what I hope. But with the criticism of what I was saying to Mike Lowry, he's talking to me about something else. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And he's like, that was more with Randall, with Carl Towns. I was like, I like the guys in the core. So now let me tell you how cynical people can be. He texts me during the 3-game losing streak and says, "Oh man, as Knicks fans now, they got a 3-game losing streak. What kind of adjustments do you think they should make?" And that was kind of like a jab at me because I jabbed him the other day about asking about the Knicks fan and the criticism about something that he said. And I said, I responded right back. I said, nothing. And his was, "Oh, you see, that's the problem though with us as the Knicks fans because they lost 3 in a row." And I said, Mike Lowry, it's January, and it's a regular season, and I mean, excluding unless you're doing things like, there's few teams in the season that will do it, like what Cleveland is doing now and Oklahoma is doing now. Unless you have years like that. Everybody goes through ups and downs in this lovely regular season that we watch and goes through adjustment periods. So I said nothing because you're going to get a couple losing streaks here and there during the season. It's only inevitable. The Knicks had won 9 straight before that, had a loss, and before that I think they were won like 8 straight. So that means for a while we've been beating a lot of teams. So sometimes you're going to get your losses as well too. So, and the reason why I said no is because the Oklahoma game, they had a lead. They should have won that game. They lost, right?
They ran out of gas.
The Orlando game, Orlando clearly was outmanned. They should have won that game. That's a blip. They let that one go. We also have to remember they beat Orlando 4 times.
3 times. 3 times.
3, whatever. They played once in that Clash tournament thing, right? Or whatever the Clash. I'm sorry, the NBA Cup, right?
Cup. Mm-hmm.
Right. And they played 2 other times. So they beat them 3 times. And they played them a lot over the last few weeks. It's very difficult sometimes to beat teams 4 or 5 times. They're still NBA professionals, right? And so, and then the other loss, what was that other loss they had during
Chicago Bulls?
Chicago Bulls game, which we know was just 41-17 in the third quarter. I mean, we couldn't score a lick, and we let them go crazy. Unacceptable. You still have to win that Bulls game, but they're professionals. So if you want me to panic and give you some Bill Belichick analysis on what they need to do after winning 9 straight and losing 3, there's nothing for me to do. They just need to play better basketball. Oh, Thibodeau needs to play the bench more. Well, how long, guys, how long are we going to say this? Listen, for the love of God, this is just a metaphor. If your mother's a crackhead, she's still your mother, okay? Thibodeau, that's how he does it. It's never going to change. Did it change on Chicago?
No.
Did it change on Minnesota?
Nope.
This is who he is, guys, whether we like it or not, whether it's going to work or not. That's what he's going to do. He plays his starters and his premium guys a lot of minutes. Should he alter it a little bit? Yes. Do I have any impact on that? Do you have any impact on that? Does Mike Larry have any impact on that? No. You think Tom Thibodeau doesn't know this? You think he hasn't heard this severely over the years? Has he changed it?
Nope.
2 years ago was the first time that he gave the bench a little bit more. He played Grimes and others. You know what I'm saying? He had to loosen up a little bit. He gets better with it too. And so that's why I said that as much as guys want that to change, the bench got to go and take it.
Mm-hmm.
The bench got to have the pride to say, man, screw that. We're going to get in here. We're going to perform so that he has to think about subbing us out. So that because we know that if he's not going to completely change that philosophy, and he goes the other thing too, if you don't guard properly, Thibodeau doesn't play you. So sometimes people can see one thing from one perspective, but it's different when you're on that sidelines and you actually got to do it against NBA players. Criticized me or not. These are one thing that I will say, since people criticize him so much. One, Tom Thibodeau has brought a winning tradition here to the New York Knicks, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They've been competitive every year that he's been there, except for 1 year where they didn't go to the postseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's made, Randall was all NBA with him there. Brunson has done very well. I mean, we talk about the things that he plays guys too much, he just does so much. But what about the winning? How much winning were we doing before he got here?
Nothing. None.
So you take the good with the bad.
Outside the Melo and Stat years when they won one. When Melo and Stat was there, they only won one playoff series, and then they gone home in the first round and missed the playoffs every other time. And then before Melo and Stat, they've only made the playoffs one time and got split to the first round. And all that happened after Patrick Ewing got traded to Seattle.
So guys, let's take the good with the bad. They're a good ball club. He's got to play the bench a little bit more.
Of course, now you understand. Of course, now you acknowledge why the New York Knicks are not the New York Liberty, but that's a whole different subject for another day. Like seriously.
And what do you mean? And what do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm gonna get into that.
Right. Okay.
So stay on the top with the New York Knicks now.
I just think that when he made that point, I guess he wanted me to say, "Oh man, Thibodeau's got to play the bench more. We got to do this. We got to do that." Stop it, New York. This is the most prisoner of the moment city and state for sports of anything I've ever seen in my life. Everybody just panics right away. They lost 3 in a row. Whoa. If they lose 10...
I was panicking right away, talking about we had no bench depth. You had a bench depth, we just weren't using it much.
And then they have to perform and play well, too. There's games where Campaign has come off the bench and scored well. There's games where Campaign has come off and not scored well. There's games Campaign has played. There's games 3 straight where he doesn't play. Precious just came back. Shamet just came back. They don't have a Mitchell Robinson. So there's a lot of... Deuce McBride was playing well. Deuce McBride got hurt for a few games, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many factors that go into this. And like I said, I guess he wanted a Vince Lombardi answer. There is no Vince Lombardi answer. No, they need to play better basketball. They know what they need to do. They know how gifted they are offensively. They've been ascending better on the defensive end. Like I said, they had a 4. They were 20-something in November for their defensive rating. They were 4th last month, which now hits them at the middle of the pack of like 23rd at all. So they're making strides towards getting better on the defensive end. They get their hands in a lot of passing lanes and steals with Josh Hart, Bridges, and OG. What they're missing now is a shot blocker. And once they can get that shot blocker, that'll completely change everything with them. So there's no panic. They're fine. It's the NBA season. If anything, I would just love for them to stay at the pack where they are. If they can stay at the 3rd seed or get the 2nd seed, fine. If Cleveland ever slips up and give us the opportunity to get there, then fine too. They're fine. I'm not going to be a panic or a prisoner of the moment. We'll see piece by piece.
Exactly. And I'm glad we had this Knicks conversation. And as I mentioned earlier, the New York Knicks are not the New York Liberty. And the reason why I'm saying New York Liberty because they've been known in recent years to build a winning culture ever since they came to Brooklyn for the Sabrina Ionescu #1 pick to bring in Stewart Jonquil Jones in 2023. They get to the finals 2 years in a row. And now I'm hearing that they might get Satu Sabally. Satu Sabally says she's not going back to the Dallas Wings in a post-game, well, not post-game, but in a little virtual conference they've had for the upcoming Unrivaled League, which you should definitely check out when you have a chance. Satu Sabally isn't coming back to the Dallas Wings, and Liberty Fan TV, Katie Saint, my guy, said that she is from New York. That could be it.
Yes.
And she might come to the Liberty.
That would be huge.
What you think about that? If Satu Sabally comes to New York Liberty, but would that build to the New York Liberty championship goals that they started in 2024?
Oh yeah, it'd be big. She might have to mess around and be a starter.
Playing with your sister Nara Sabally and your teammate from Oregon, Sabrina Ionescu, they're going to be teammates on Unrivaled. You can't get past that.
Yeah, that'd be huge. That'd be a big adjustment to the team, help towards the bench, or if she's a starter, and she can definitely do things offensively as well too. So it's key. Anytime you win, you have to still continue to get better to try to go at it again, because now clearly the target is going to be the Liberty's back. Every team, regardless of the score, every team is going to give them their best effort because they're the championship team and they wanna prove something, and those are the things you try to build on. So they have to come back very driven. Sometimes winning can take away passion, but I think they would. They definitely want to go back to back, and you want to try to prove, kind of like what the Aces did. You want to try to prove to the world that no matter what, nobody can't take this championship away from New York in the history of life. But you want to try to double prove to the world that what just happened was not an aberration or luck or serendipity or referees and ministers. I'm saying you want to try to X that out. So if they come out, they're good in the regular season and they dominate and they win it again. Now it's just like, and that's the same thing the Aces did. The Aces didn't have like that controversy with it, but they won the first one, and it was like, oh yeah, they won, but they're real good teams. Like, no, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do it again. We're gonna prove to you that we're these bad girls. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the Liberty is going to have to prove in order to move forward. I thought switching gears can play with this, but I never forget. And I can remember the years like going back when the Giants won the Super Bowl in the 2007 season, but the Super Bowl gets played in 2008. When we won that year, I believe they were 9-7. No, they might have 10-6 or something like that.
I believe they would have 16.
Right. Yes, they had no home games, and they had to beat all number one seeds. And the year they did that, listen, I'm not even gonna lie. It was, as Giants fans,
you know how I feel about that championship season.
Right. We that year, we were, as they kept steamrolling, like the belief became even more. So they had a big time win in weeks. Remember, at that time it was only 17 weeks of football, not 18, because now there's 17 games compared to. So they had won the week 16 game against Buffalo to clinch, which was a big time win on the road. And when they went into the postseason against the Tampa game was like, yeah, we could win this game, but they're still a number one seed. It's their home game. Okay, the Giants might go home. They beat Tampa. They played Dallas on the road. They beat Dallas, which was a top seed and dominated us in the regular season. They beat Green Bay in a cold game with Brett Favre. And then they beat at that time, the best team in the history of football with the New England Patriots, who were 18-0. And we won. And can you believe that there were still a lot of people that I know that were like, oh, you guys won by luck. It was the defense that led you in.
I told you I told you my guy from Canarsie High School said the same thing, saying all the referees. We already went over that. We already had this conversation.
Yeah, but you know what they had to do? They had to win in 2011, even though 2-3 years later. First of all, they would have won back-to-back, but the Plaxico Burress situation happened when they were 10-1.
Yeah, Plaxico Burress shot himself in the foot. Don't remind me about that.
Right.
And then they ran into a hungry Eagles team that were trying to do what we did, win as a 6th seed, but they went into Arizona. I never forget that. I was losing my mind.
Let me tell you something.
When the Giants lost the Giants lost the way against the Eagles, I was about to explode. But like, you can't get past, like, you were down 9 points. You can't get the first down literally in midfield. I was like, what's going on? I was livid.
That Plaxico Burress thing, as much as they don't want to say it, just changed the whole complexion of the team. They were 10-1 at that moment. And then they beat Washington when it happened to go to 11 wins. And then they finished the season 13-3. So they had a little downplay when they got in. And
they had to beat the Carolina Panthers to get the number 1 seed. And what do you know? The Carolina Panthers went home with a divisional round as well to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep. And they should have won back-to-back, but they didn't. They had some good time. They finally got back to 2011, and they won again. And then when we won, it was just like to look back on people and say, like, you can't say it's an aberration or luck. And then another thing that they got a lot of criticism for was the fact that they would discredit Eli Manning and the things that he did well for the organization and that Super Bowl before. And they credit everything.
Didn't make the postseason.
Right. But they credit everything to the defense and this, and that. When that second Super Bowl came that they got and they won, it was Eli Manning who won the Super Bowl for them. With the great pass to Manningham, with his great play with over 200 and change of yards, his touchdowns, and winning another Super Bowl MVP. And all of that went to rest. And I had guys that never wanted to bite the bullet. Say, all right, Tom, say that. Man, I can't say nothing, no 1v1. So the Liberty would want to do that, to just double check everybody to say, like, what we did is that wasn't just luck. Like, we're going to try to do this and have opportunities to do this more. And I told you, over the next 5 to 6 years, especially what they're doing, they'll have 3, maybe 3 different opportunities to win again with what the team they have and the core. So
that's only if they can keep it together.
That's if they can keep it together.
Keep it together, which shouldn't be a problem if they can continue. If they can win a championship in 2025 this year, it should not be a problem.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. And when you add Satu Sabli to New York Liberty, that is going to make us thinking we're going to win again in 2025.
They'll have a really great chance. You know how we feel about our Liberty.
Yeah, they'll have a really great chance. And you know what? Since you went all top with the New York Giants, now we can talk about the Giants a bit more because they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. They only managed to get the number 3 pick. And the wins against the Browns and the Indianapolis Colts really cost them the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, which means they were just 1 pick shy of getting either a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders. It may possibly happen depending on the needs for the top 2 teams, the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. But I'm good with Travis Hunter if that happens. But let me ask this one question. Would you much rather trade up to get either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders when the Giants really need a quarterback? Or would you stay where you are and get Travis Hunter, as good as he is as a Heisman candidate?
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we'll have to worry about that. All 3 teams that are there could actually use a quarterback, the top 3 teams. However, this is how it's seeming like it's going to go. And things can change. They have to go to the combines, work out, do a lot of stuff. But right now, they have Cam Ward going number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee is number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Cam Ward will be going number 1. Number 2 to Cleveland would be Abdul Carter, the defensive end from Penn State, who's an absolute monster. because Cleveland needs to also add to their defense. The problem is with Cleveland is that they really probably want to go quarterback ways too, but they're strapped home because they did pay Deshaun a lot of money, and they still owe him the money no matter what. And then they had another young kid that ended up started playing a little bit more, but they're still, at least business and contractual wise, have to pay Deshaun the money. So they're going to go with a defensive end from what I'm hearing, which is Abdul Carter, number 2. If that happens, that means that Shedeur Sanders will be their number 3 for the New York Giants, and that's who they will draft. If it works out where they take Shedeur 1, then that would mean that Cam Ward would end up third there too. So we still have a possibility to get everything they wanted. I wish they would have not done the Colts game so that we don't have to worry about this. They have the keys to pick everything, whoever they want first, but they might end up getting Shedeur anyway because Abdul Carter most likely is going to be a Cleveland Brown, and Travis might drop 4th, 5th. You know what I'm saying?
Let's say they prove it. They held their own. He showed some skills.
He can play
Notre Dame, but yeah.
So we'll see, and it still might work out for them anyway. And but the Giants need it. They need somebody that can change the whole atmosphere and the culture. And Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are on the hot seat. You know, they have 365 days to get this team at least more way competitive eye test than what's going on now. They have anything, if they get 6, 7, or even 8 wins, that might be the end of their regime. They have to produce a football. They really have to, go to the playoffs. They really have to win some division games. They have to change the whole perspective. Otherwise, that's probably it for them.
Yeah, that's going to be hard. But that's a conversation for another day because we got the NFL playoffs to talk about. And obviously, in the last episode, part 1 of my preview of the NFL playoffs with Deb Whitcas, as I've had earlier in the last episode, because as you broke it down, she was kind of nervous when it comes to her Eagles facing either the Detroit Lions or the Minnesota Vikings. But she did pick the Eagles to get past the Packers and the Vikings, and then probably take it out against the Detroit Lions. Yes, and then her other picks, who had the Commanders defeating the Buccaneers and the Vikings defeating the Rams. The Lions, prior to defeating the Eagles, who had to defeat the Commanders, it will probably go down between the Lions and the Bills coming out of the AFC, with the Bills getting wins against the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens, and hopefully, finally, you defeat the Chiefs in the regular season and postseason. And along with some other games, too. I mean, the Chiefs defeat the Chargers, the Ravens defeat the Steelers, and the Texans over the Chargers. Deb Whitcas make those picks, and based off everything I just said, I'm going to challenge you to counter that by making your picks for the upcoming NFL, starting with the wild card. So, yeah, first game, we're going to go with the Rams versus the Vikings, which is now confirmed they will be playing at Glendale, Arizona. Rams home field. Who you have? And what's your outlook for the postseason, by the way?
Rams are a good team, and Super Bowl winning quarterback, Cooper Kupp. They got guys there. They have 4 guys that have made this run before. But I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings because their defense is really, 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 really good, and they've been getting great quarterback play. So they're good offensively. They played well all year. I'm going to go with the Vikings on that one.
Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Washington Commanders versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This one is so hard to pick. I really like Chase Daniels. I really do. He's a good kid in Washington, has defended and played better.
Actually, Jaden Daniels.
I'm so sorry. Jaden Daniels. Their young phenom quarterback. But I'm gonna go Tampa Bay. Baker's had a couple more pony rides in the postseason, so he knows what it is to win and be a part of that situation, or be in the postseason per se. They do well at moving the football. They're defending. I'm gonna go Tampa Bay with this one. As much as I like the quarterback on Washington, and they're still a postseason team. They took a couple steps back in the last few weeks, but their schedule was good as well too. So but I still I like Tampa Bay in this contest, even with Washington's a home team, correct?
No, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the home team.
Oh yeah, I like Tampa Bay then definitely now.
Okay, Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Green Bay Packers. And remember what happened the last time the Packers came in the postseason as the 7th seed? They will run through the Dallas Cowboys. You see them pull out that same result against the Eagles?
Hey man, make sure I'm on record for this. The Philadelphia Eagles are the better team. Saquon is having a big time year, almost could have broke the rushing record. And they're solid. Their quarterback should be back, right? Because it's been hurt for a couple weeks. Man, I'm going on a limb. I'm going upset. I am picking the Green Bay Packers to beat the Eagles for this first game. I should not be doing this. I should be going with my brain on this one. But I like the Packers. I like what Jordan Love can do. He can get the football down. He can make up all the plays and throws. He has the offensive targets. Their defense is better than what it was last year. It will be tough to win in Philadelphia. It will be a hell of an environment. You know how they are already. But I think the Green Bay Packers have a good chance. And I like the play of Jordan Love now and his health more than what's going on with the quarterback situation in Philadelphia. Instead, what's the quarterback? Hurts, right?
Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts will be coming back now after a few weeks. The backup quarterback got hurt through concussion protocol. The third string was so they've had a lot of interesting things there, and we got to see how he looks when Jalen looks coming back after missing a few weeks. Bang smack in the postseason. I don't know, man. I could be wrong on this, but I'm going Green Bay Packers.
Okay, and you know what happens after that, right? The Lions will get the lowest seed coming out of the NFC wildcard games, and right. The Packers are the lowest seed, which means it will go down between the Vikings versus the Buccaneers in one divisional playoff game, and the Lions will get the Green Bay Packers. Lions versus Packers, who you have going to the NFC title game?
Well, make sure we do a show again next week so I can because I'm subject to change, especially with that because now even if these picks work out, we got to see how the eye test how they look. I mean, conventional for the mortgage, we're going to Lions. The Lions have played the best football all year, but the Green Bay Packers gave them a run for their money all the times on top of Minnesota. So Lions now, but I still want to be able to pick that again next week when everything does flow out the certain way. Because if Philadelphia does win, then that this all could be a different opinion. You know what I'm saying? Even though I probably still would pick the Lions, but they would the Philly would be prime and ready.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah, you got a point. We'll get to the AFC wildcard matchups then, since everything can change depending on seedings and everything. And the Chiefs are the number 1 seed, and they would host the lowest seed coming out of the AFC wildcard, meaning that that could be either the Chargers, Steelers, or the Broncos.
Right.
And one of the Broncos who will run the Kansas City Chiefs, but we understand the Kansas City Chiefs weren't using their top starters in that game, so we'll leave that regular season finale alone. Broncos on the road against Buffalo Bills. Who you have that one?
I like Bo Nix, and I really like Denver's defense, but I'm going Buffalo. I'm staying in New York, and I think they'll be fine. They'll win that football game. The Buffalo Bills. I'll go with Allen and the guys, but Denver's gotten so much better this year defensively, and Bo Nix is doing very well for them. But I'm gonna go with All
right, we got it. Baltimore Ravens at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Man, it is so hard to go against Mike Tomlin. I mean, it really, really, really is.
Especially since you go up against a quarterback who's won Super Bowls in the past, we was in Seattle up until
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go Baltimore because that's most likely is the MVP of the season, and Lamar's been playing phenomenal football, and they can do things. I just hope they don't come out flat like they did in their last postseason game, because if they do that, they'll go home. Pittsburgh is not the organization you want to come out flat with in a postseason game. I know this much. Pittsburgh will be ready. They will be well coached.
we lost the final few games.
Yeah, but this is Mike Tomlin we're talking about here, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That you're really going to have to beat that football team in order to advance. So I'm going to go Baltimore Ravens, but they better be very careful.
Mm-hmm. Houston Texans and home against Los Angeles Chargers. And I'm talking about CJ Stroud going up against Justin Herbert. Who you have winning that matchup? Because those quarterbacks, they proven to put up numbers.
I like the Texans. Harbaugh's doing a great job down there, and you know how I feel about Justin. Justin's an absolute stud. So it won't just be a walk in the park. But I like Houston. They had postseason experience. So CJ has played in there, played well before. I like the Texans for this matchup.
Okay, that's fair. And if everything goes to fruition, and Texas would be the lowest seed coming out of the AFC wildcard games, they would be the ones to go to Kansas City and Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs. And we all remember what happened the last time. Every time the Texans get to the AFC division round, they can't go any further than that. And then, of course, you got Baltimore and Buffalo in another division matchup. And, imagine if the Bills defeat the Ravens and the Texans once again lose in the division round, only this time to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. We get Buffalo and Kansas City again. And, do you think this will be the year Buffalo gets the Super Bowl? We have to deal with Patrick Mahomes. Of course, every time we say that the Chiefs are not going to do anything, they surprise us. They went undefeated until they ran into Buffalo. And Buffalo, even though they had luck defeating Kansas City in the regular season, somehow, some way, they cough it up against Kansas City in the postseason. So you think this will be the year the Buffalo Bills follow up a regular season victory against Kansas City with a postseason win against them and get to the Super Bowl? And Deb Whitcas has the face of the Lions, by the way.
I have no idea. As a New Yorker, whether Buffalo or not, I hope and pray. My heart wants them to get to the Super Bowl. And I'm not a hater. It'd be pretty cool to see them win. That organization has went through 4 losing straight Super Bowls in the history, and some really tough losses after that postseason, and some years of just not even being relevant to get there. But I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I've stuck with that bet the last few years, and it just works out almost all the time. And they'd have to really, if they get past Kansas City, if they go to an AFC Championship game, I don't want to say it's ordained because it's Buffalo, but this would be their time. But it's going to be very difficult to beat the champions, and if they get there. So, and I don't, even if with that regular season win, that goes out the window. Like, it was great for the regular season. They did that before a few years ago, and it, like you said, it didn't work out. Like, I keep telling my guy, he's a big Ravens fan. I'll see him coming in this morning, and he'll be running his jums. It don't matter who it is: Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Rafiq Louison. If you want to get to the Super Bowl, you got to talk to Patrick Mahomes in the AFC. Point blank, period. Everything is going to run through them. So anybody who wants anything, number 15 is who they have to talk to.
That's a very moot point. Patrick, let's call it the way it is. Patrick Mahomes, he's building he built a dynasty there with 3 of the last 4. Let's call it the way it is.
Yep. You got to go through him. So good luck. But the Bills do have the capabilities of doing it. It's one of those things that until we see it, if Kansas City plays Buffalo, right? Can you really feel confident just because Buffalo beat them in the regular season to go against Kansas City, who's 15-2, and the last loss was because they played nobody on the team in order because they had to prepare for their future. I'm just saying. So some people say, "Oh, Kansas City, man, they're not that good. They have all these close wins. They barely win." They've been doing that the last 2-3 years, bro. And the antidote of winning. They might not all look pretty. When you have number 15, you have a chance.
Patrick Mahomes is a problem right now.
Best quarterback in football.
You want the one Super Bowl loss against Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then the 1 year you did make it when you ran into Cincinnati. Kansas City's not a team to be messing with at all. All right. Now I'm going to get to some nothing but that sports talk, quick talk. And you saw that LeBron switch hand dunk in the air by LeBron James in a loss against the Dallas Mavericks. And even at the beginning of his 40s, LeBron proving that he can still do switch hand dunks in the air.
Guy's incredible, man. I mean, the guy's just incredible. I mean, it's 40 years old. Where,
you're 40 years old working a security job, and LeBron James is 40 years old.
Windmill dunking.
Can't dunk.
I can't even fathom to do it. But this guy is just astronomical. The things that he's doing. Still got a lot of basketball. Look like he could play for him. So God bless him. That's the king, man. That's what LeBron does, and I don't expect anything less. He's just been doing it at a high level for his entire career. And
he said he's gonna play 5. He said he can play at a high level for 5 or 7 more years, but he wants to end it as soon as possible. I mean, you got to go with what your body tells you, no matter how incredible you are on the court.
And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how he's playing. But listen, even before we prelude, just want to throw it in there really quick. Shout out to my guy H2O for Balling for Peace. Great New York City Elite 32 tournament he did the end of December. We had a great time. Me, Box Office, and my man Slim. Of just helping him showcase. That was great to be a part of the event. Shout out to Gary Charles for having a great event at Chaminade High School, as he always does, with the Gary Charles Hoop Classic, where they had so many Catholic city teams, Catholic Long Island teams, city teams as well, and Long Island High School public teams that played. So we got to do some work down there too. That was pretty amazing. And a big shout out to my guys at the 5 a.m. Brotherhood. We've just been doing well down there and just keep progressing the league. And I'll be back down there again to do some work this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So that'll be good. Shout out to my man JJ Moore, aka Jumpin' Jack, for the New York Wizards. Gave me a beautiful New York Wizards basketball signed by him as well too. That was my guy JJ, and gave me some a bunch of basketball gear and headbands and stuff for the kids, which my son loved, in a book bag. So it was a book bag, which I thought was pretty dope. So JJ looked out for me. That God bless him on that. Shout out my man Greg the Model too, making a rap song and putting actually my verse in the reference towards me in the rap song, which he wants me to get in the studio and to complete that with him as well too. So my man Greg the Model, good peoples too. My man Prime Focus, we're doing work in Queens with his tournament and the live streaming part, and we'll be doing live stream games with Eagle Academy. As a matter of fact, we have a game next Tuesday to live stream for Eagle, and next Saturday. Dang, I got a busy. Even when it's not busy, it's busy. So for next week, Saturday, I didn't think that I had. Oh crap! I'm gonna have to work. I have to leave early to go live stream it. So that I'll put in my request for. So they've been doing a great work, and the final prelude to that is to say, big shout out to my family, Crunch Time family. We'll be back in February. So all the teams, get yourself prepared. There won't be that many. There'll be some pro-am leagues, but it'll probably be the most competitive in the winter at that time. I mean, the Clash is over and some other things over. There's some other stuff that'll be back. Like, TakeOver has this other part of the tournament, but we've been doing it for a while, so it's going to be pretty big to be back at the Crunch Time tournament for the Winter League. me, Slim, our man Preacher, the Boom. We got another new catalyst to the team that can help us do what we're doing, and that's going to be pretty big. And we'll all be back at it. And Wavy Walker, I'm just trying to be the voice of Long Island to the best of my ability and keep myself busy and keep ourselves, still networking in this game. I didn't think I'm busy this weekend now because now I'm going to do the Brotherhood both days, and I got the takeover on Sunday. And I totally forgot that next week, Saturday, they have a 1:30 Eagle game. So I'll have to leave from work and shoot straight there to do the live stream. And then the 19th, we'll be at Hempstead Kennedy Memorial Park for the second annual Arthur Morrison Day. Arthur Morrison is a gentleman who passed away in our neighborhood of Hempstead, who was a cornerstone for Hempstead. He tutored and helped so many kids in Hempstead, always had programs. He had his basketball league. Everybody knew Arthur, and he had an impact on everybody's life. He tutored my sister. I helped her with things. And we'll have a second annual tournament for him. We'll also be commemorating Ruthie. Ruthie's still here, of course, but Auntie Ruthie, who's done so much for the community as well, which will be at Kennedy Park next week on the 19th. So that means I'll have the Brotherhood in the morning and then have to go to Kennedy Park to do that event then. So thank God that our crunch time is starting in February to give us some kind of time before the whole show. So that's the whole thing about what I'm doing on my side with the facade. I seen everything that you was doing, which is so great. The Nazareth game, you've been at so many games, doing so much work, and the pilgrimage now towards St. John's and getting that next thing done. So all we can do is keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the St. John's work doesn't interfere with my in-person coverage of basketball too much. And don't worry, the Nothing But the Sports Talk podcast will continue. The platform will continue.
Yeah. School first, though.
Without question, the weekly episodes, it will continue, although that might ease up a bit once the workload piles up a little bit on my side.
100%. No problem with it. You'll still know it. We'll always stay busy, but sometimes I'm like, man, Rafiq, I can't do it. I can't do it today. I can't because I'm just beat. I'm physically just doing so much. So, but school's gonna take a lot, and we'll find times. It'll work out. It'll work itself out.
It ain't that hard to pause in between my studies to get this done.
Yeah.
And that wraps up this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafiq Lewis on Ryan Walker. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure. It's always great being here. We've been doing this for a few years together now, and the growth is just unbelievable about the strides that we.
And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Nothing But That Sports Talk, and then follow me on Instagram, Rafiq_Louis BK. Follow Ryan Walker at Wavy_Walker_516.
Absolutely, man. We here for y'all, man. New York. We the voice. We the voices of New York. This is what New York sound like. So.
Yeah. And don't forget to check out Deb Whitcas' podcast, The Blond Blitz, that she's literally doing on her own. And that wraps it up. We'll see you next time.